All right, everyone, hello and welcome to another Tier List Tuesday. So we've reached the point where I got to record some new episodes. We're going to have some updates for this one. Going to notice some things are different. Let's go through them quickly. So I got the music in the background, not just to have music in the background, but also to give me a cue on when the episode's taking too long. So when I get close to the end of the song, I'll be like, all right, I got to pick things up here because I don't want these to be too long. And also we're doing RX. So obviously from the first few episodes, probably thinking like, oh, reach episodes, how the hell did we get to RX? I figured not as many people can relate to the super old ones, and obviously that's gonna be like the first few episodes. So what I decided to do now to keep things relevant and interesting is to, you know, hopefully eventually like kind of converge in the middle. But I'm gonna kind of jump back and forth between doing like recent seasons and doing older seasons and kind of just keep tossing it back and forth. And yeah, eventually maybe at some point meet in the middle instead of doing it chronologically, just to make the series more stay more relevant, I guess, if that makes sense, and have, you know, take advantage of the recency on some of the seasons as well. But yeah, also just mix things up, keep it interesting. So that's why we're doing the most recent season. You know, got to rate this one before we get into Indie Hog. We're doing HRL RX. So let's get into it. So the UK flag, this is Lydden Hill. I have these in the order that we raced them, by the way, and we're gonna go through them in that order. So Lydden Hill, I'm gonna put in B tier. I think the description that I'm gonna give for Lydden Hill could arguably put it in A tier, but it's just, I don't know, there's a lot of solid tracks that I want to put up there. I just think at the end of the day, this has to be B tier. I think it's a pretty solid track, but I think the racing was better than the track was, if that makes sense. Like, I think the racing made the track look a lot better than it was, even though it was a solid track. For whatever reason, even though it wasn't like the best track in my opinion, it just, the races for this track was just great. I mean, it made it look better than it actually is, but it's still a good track. I'll settle with it in B. Then we go to Yarnum, and I think Yarnum is the worst of the co-forges that Yursky and I did for this season. That being said, I still like Yarnum. I'm probably going to leave this in B as well. And this one, kind of like for the opposite reasons of Lydden Hill. I think the track is pretty good. Yeah, I think the track is pretty good, but for some reason the races weren't as good for this one. So it was like the total opposite of Lydden Hill, where I think the track, you know, with Lydden Hill, I think the track was decent, racing was great. Yarnum, I think the track was great and the racing was like decent. So it's just going to end up in a B tier again. And then we go to Minnesota. Now, personally, this will be a controversial one for me. I'm gonna have to put Minnesota in C tier. And I think the description for C tier is pretty accurate for it as well, but with potential not fulfilled. I would love to update Minnesota in a future season and race it again, because I have some great ideas after racing it that I think would make it a lot better and that I think would really complete it. And I think it'd free up objects. I think the track would race better. I think it'd flow better. I think with freeing up the objects, I'd get to do some cooler stuff. I have so many ideas. I really want to do it again, hopefully. But for what we raced in HRL RX, I think there was a few things that were just needed to be tested more, and I didn't like how they turned out in the race. But there was potential there. I just didn't like how it turned out in the race. All right, now we go to Phoenix. I actually thought this might be another hot take. I thought Phoenix was pretty good. I thought this one was kind of underrated. I'm going to put Phoenix up to A tier. I think it was a pretty good track. I think it was pretty unique. I really liked the layout. I liked the mix of sections on it. The Joker was crazy. The fat jump Joker. The races were pretty good. The races were pretty good on Phoenix. They had some drama. It was good, like slow burn moto, good full action moto from what I could recall. Like there were maybe some of the better motos in the season. I think Phoenix was pretty good. What holds it off of A tier is a few parts of the track that maybe were a little cheesy and could cheese you a few times when they probably shouldn't have. So that's what would hold it off of S tier. But I still think Phoenix is pretty good. All right, this is Flagathon. If you don't get it, you just got to look it up. This is Flagathon. I think this is going to be another A tier track. I'd probably put it ahead of Phoenix, but I still think it's pretty good. Oh, I'd probably do this, to be honest, too. But I think Flagathon was pretty good. Very close to being S tier. I really like the layout. I think this is one of the better, like, short track RXs in the season. Yeah, cool sections, difficult, got a good skill gap. I think this has one of the best split sections. We tried a lot of split sections throughout the season. I think Flagathon has one of the better balanced ones where the inside can be faster, but it's a lot easier to cheese. Outside's a lot more consistent. I think did a good job there. I like how it's almost kind of MX-like with the layout. I think it's pretty good. Quebec, now for me, this is S tier. I really like Quebec. I said before the season that the two tracks I was really looking forward to racing were Minnesota and Quebec. Minnesota, obviously a few things cheesed. I wanted to change some stuff. Quebec, I think, turned out great. It's just a super tight, short track, aggressive racing type of stuff that I like. The Joker's super cheese. It led to one of the craziest HRL moto finishes of all time in Moto 3. Probably. I think it has to be. If you don't believe me, or if you forgot, go watch it back. Like, I feel like it has to be. It was such a crazy finish. And all the motos had great racing. There's good passes, because passes weren't necessarily easy on the track. They're doable. You have to get creative with them. There's a good skill gap, but it wasn't, like, crazy. It's pretty solid. I really like Quebec. Calgary, the other Canada track, if I'm going to have to put one in D, it's probably going to be this one. Now, to be fair, I think Calgary kind of got cheesed by it being the week where, you know, like, not as many people showed up, where like, everybody just had the week off. I think Calgary, I would have liked to have seen how it went with a full lobby, or not necessarily a full lobby, but like with 10 or 11 even. I would have liked to have seen how Calgary would have raced. I think it would have been a pretty good battle track. I think it would have looked a lot better. But yeah, I don't actually think Calgary is like D. I'm just doing this for the sake of variety in the tier list. I should clarify that. Like, if I'm going to put one in D in this season, I feel like it should be Calgary. But like in the overall grand scheme of like HRL track, I don't think it's that bad, if that makes sense. But yeah, I still think it's a solid track. It just, the racing on it wasn't as great, and it didn't really get the chance to shine. Lagavulin, I think Lagavulin's great. This was my favorite track. This is going in S as well. This was another, this was the second Yursky and I co-forge, and I think this one turned out really good. Split section was interesting. All the sections, honestly, all the sections were interesting and different and had their own flair. Like, all the different sectors of the track felt different. I like the Joker. I like the rejoin there. I like the neg camber. I like the terrain part. I like both sides of the split section. The first turn of the track, the first like downhill turn, is one of the trickiest turns, one of the most skilled turns in all the RX tracks. Great racing on here, great motos, great battles, even with the skill gap. Like, not all skill gap tracks have that. This one did. Lagavulin was really good. Now we're gonna go to Hog Angeles. I'm gonna put Hog Angeles in the B tier. I might even put it there. A lot of people liked Hog Angeles. I liked it better than it was gonna be with the changes that I added to it, but I still, after racing it, thought that some of these other tracks were better. And it was decent, but I compare it a lot to Phoenix. I think it's very similar to Phoenix, and I think Phoenix is just better. So yeah, Hog Angeles was decent, but personally not my favorite. And now we go to the last one, ending out the episode here, Oklahoma. I'm gonna put Oklahoma in S tier as well. Personally, this is the grand final track, by the way. Or wait, oops. There we go. Yeah, I'm gonna put it in S tier as well. I am going to put it behind Lagavulin, but in front of Quebec. I thought Oklahoma was really good. The grand finals races were great. It was unique, and it was the only track in the season that had a short Joker. And of course, the song is ending. My limit is 10 minutes. I can go a little bit longer, but that is my cue that we should wrap it up. But yeah, so Oklahoma's great. Cracked layout. This was just as good as Lagavulin, probably. I think Yursky and I really nailed the co-forge action on this one and Lagavulin in particular, although the other one's decent too, or the other one rather, but these two were just great. And yeah, if you go back and watch the grand finals races, they were fantastic. It was such a close grand final. It went all the way to the end. There were great battles up front, in the back, in the middle, everywhere throughout the field. The short cut Joker actually worked out for this track. It actually made sense, and it was actually pretty good. And yeah, and it was also a absolute undertaking. Like, it is, if you look at it, it was a hard track to make work in terms of forge and like the bordering and stuff like that. And it was honestly really impressive. And I got to give a shout out to Yursky for that one, because I did a lot more stuff on the track side, a lot less on the bordering side. And I don't know how I would have made the bordering work, to be honest. I don't know if I would have been able to do it. So shout out to him for that on this one in particular. But yeah, so that's going to be in this HRL RX episode. Obviously, these should be pretty recent, so I think you guys probably have some opinions on these. Let me know what you think in the comments. Agree, disagree on any of these. This is what I ended up with. I'll go through them one more time as we close out the episode. At my top S, I had Lagavulin, Oklahoma, Quebec, and then A, I had Phlegethon and Phoenix, and then B, Yarnum, Linden Hill, then Hog Angeles, and then C, Minnesota, and then D, Calgary. And I don't think any of these tracks were really bad. If anything, I like, low-key, these could both be C, to be honest. Because even then, like, the tracks at the bottom, I would say, are like potential not fulfilled. I don't think they're like bad explicitly. But overall, though, pretty good. I think we did a good job with the track selection and variety. I think that was a strong suit of the RX season, and I hope we can continue that and do even better with that in Indie Hog. So yeah, that's going to close out this tier list Tuesday. We'll probably go back to the past in the next one and keep snaking around. Let me know what you guys thought on these ratings, and if you enjoyed it. And I'll see you for Indie Hog in a few days, or Road to Indie Hog, rather, in a few days. Yeah, see you there.